Today I'm joined by the course manager of the Grove Hotel, Sam Reid. Sam, welcome to Turf Business TV.
Thanks, Martin.
Known you for a little while now, but not had the chance to sit down and do one of these, which, you know, as I said earlier, we've really been looking forward to getting hold of you and talking to you. If we start with where it started for you then, so what got you into greenkeeping and the turf care industry as a whole?
I guess I'm a slightly unique case in some ways, and my passion has always been in farming. That's how I've grown up in a family farming sort of environment. Started driving tractors from a young age, always obsessed with that side of things. But it was never going to be the full-on career, sort of due to opportunities of myself versus other family members. So I fell into, I guess, a summer role at the Grove in 2012. I say fell in, it was, it was an opening there for 6 months. I took it up. And I was very fortunate that Phil Shiverton, who was my mentor for 10 years, was also from a farming background and also from Devon originally.
Okay.
We kind of gelled immediately in the interview process. And from there, I mean, it was just suddenly this realization there's this career that I knew nothing about. And just day by day, I became more and more obsessed with it over that 6-month period.
So apart from the big boys' toys and driving tractors that attracted you, you walked through for your first day on your placement. Was it 6 months, did you say?
It was, yeah.
What did you expect and what did you find?
I mean, having never played golf prior to that, it was an eye-opener to see how much care and attention went into something that, to me was just, any other sport. It was, it's not many other industries in sport where you have this amount of, especially at the Grove, this many amount of greenkeepers and golf staff to maintain an area. My sort of first 6 months in the role was I was mentored by Stuart Horwood, who's a Grove alumni and currently in the Middle East as a superintendent, and just the care and attention that he had in day-to-day jobs, that ensuring, or the care to make sure that every golfer who plays at the Grove is a first experience and has the right to have the Tiger experience of 2006 or the Alex Noren experience of 2016, and that sort of guest or member for a day mentality. So that really stuck with me sort of from day one.
Your only experience is at the Grove, isn't it, in terms of greenkeeping? So you don't really have anything day to day to compare it to, but having been, I assume, to other venues and other courses, what do you think the key difference is about the Grove?
So we are a affiliate or have a management structure with Troon Golf. So Troon is an American-based company. They have about 850 properties worldwide, but we are the only Troon property within England. I think outside of us, you have one other in Scotland. And with that brings a very different outlook, I guess, onto what the golfing experience is, in that we have no membership here. We're a resort style course, but we pride ourselves on to be, the most welcoming experience in golf, giving you that member for a day mentality, which was kind of brought up from the Troon North days, which was Troon's first course and Troon Country Club. And within that, you should have your green fee paid, and there should be this, what we call inclusive 5-star, where, you turn up, you play on one of the best court condition golf courses in the country, and you have one of the best operations team in the industry there to meet you, greet you, shine your clubs, give you the caddy experience if you need it, and afterwards give you one of the best hospitality experiences we can from our stables team or any of the restaurants in the hotel.
And that Troon mentality, does that filter across into the greenkeeping side of things, or does the Grove have its own greenkeeping mentality and philosophy? Or you indeed?
Yeah, sure. So we have an agronomist, Simon Doyle, who comes to us a couple of times a year. So Simon is obviously involved in our decisions and advice. But all of our standard operating practices originated from Troon standards, which is something we're very proud of. They helped us build the facility up from day one. And then from that, over the years, we've, I guess, modified those SOPs to fit the growth standard. Within that, I think we've ensured then a consistency of what we do day to day, but also modified to be, as efficient and as high standards as we possibly can be. So it's something that we're very proud of, and yeah, it's certainly a partnership that we want to continue working with. And for me, I think it's given me an identity as well in terms of my turf management philosophy of using those bases. You've got Jeff Spangler, who was the original agronomist of Troon, and the mentality that he had that was then passed on to Phil, and now Will Evans, who's our director of agronomy, and he's again been with Troon for a number of years and has the same mentality that they harbour in every single golf course they sort of assist with.
You're charged with delivering a 5-star experience, which goes across the board, whether that's the quality of the surfaces that you're delivering out on the course or the way your staff react around people, I guess, as well. How are you dealing with delivering that, Sam?
It's having a team that can buy into those standards every single day of the year. We sort of make our team aware that we don't have a club championships for 2 or 3 days of the year. To them, somebody coming here could be the only time they ever experienced the Grove, or it might be that they've saved up, for a couple of months, and they're having, 5 of the best courses that they can possibly play with their money. So it's really getting the team to invest in whatever they do on a daily basis has to be to the best of our ability. Being as near to a championship style experience as we possibly can. The team are brilliant. They all care about the finish they do. They all care about the quality. But I guess with that comes an efficiency that we have to drive as well, because for us, we can't be caught by golf. If we're caught by the first round, then that's usually the morning job sort of thrown out the window, because generally, if you're caught by one, there's about 5 groups right behind that could throw the morning out. So yeah, there's a very key balance of efficiency and quality that guys have to meet, and it's certainly not an easy job. But I'd like to think over the years where we've harboured these SOPs, we've made them work, and the team have adapted, and we've got the machinery fleet to back that up. As due to the investment from the owners, we're probably as good as we possibly can be.
So many would probably say you're in a privileged position. You've not worked anywhere else but the Grove. You've got owners that back you financially and make sure you deliver that, to help make sure you deliver that 5-star experience. Do you get all the toys you want, or you still have to justify things?
Everything is justifiable. Although we are a family-run business who, they are invested, we are also a money business. And at the end of the day, we have to meet revenue, we have to meet our targets, and we can't be buying any fancy we feel like works. So yeah, everything that we do has to go through a stringent approval process. We have very strict budgets. We have monthly meetings to ensure that we're on budget. So it's certainly not, ask and get. But at the same time, we have owners who are understanding, and they're accepting of when we are finding a problem. We have to highlight that, and so long as it's within reason, and again, it meets what our revenue targets are, then they're very helpful in what they give us. It's certainly not something that we can ask for every single day of the year and just get. It's we generally have a 5-year capex plan for what we do. So if I haven't asked for it and it's not in that 5-year plan, then I'm not going to get it.
Are you tied into one supplier in terms of machinery, or so who's your it's an exclusive deal, is it?
Yeah, so we're very proud to sort of have a partnership with Toro, which we've renewed just last year. So we've just signed a total solutions package with Toro. So we are going to have Toro machinery, which has always been the case from day one. And we're also going to be switching from Rainbird irrigation to Toro in about 2 years' time. From a tractor standpoint, we have a very close relationship with George Brown's, who supply us with our Kubota machinery and also a lot of our handheld tools as well. So we do pride ourselves in having the best tools that we can get, but also local suppliers. So we have AT Olivers, who are 2 minutes down the road, and George Brown's that are about 10 miles up the road. So we like to keep our supply chain close. We have a great support network from them. And we really care about building those relationships with these suppliers, and in return, we give back as well to them.
What's the methodology that you have of, one, monitoring how you're performing in terms of the quality of the surfaces, yeah, and two, then how you get that across to the people that you're reporting to, who may not necessarily be from a turf care background?
Okay. So I mean, benchmarking is the most important tool we have. We do use mystery guest feedback from the 59 Club, which is something we've done for a number of years now. So that does help facilitate decisions and make sure on target. I guess not having a membership does make it hard to get feedback from guests. We do encourage feedback, but it doesn't come readily as available maybe as if you had the same member, who I'm sure as some people who'd be listening will be, wishing they didn't have that. But
Absolutely.
If anything, I guess we could almost wish we did, because we don't have that consistent feedback necessary from our guests. So it is very much on ourselves to monitor and manage. The most important tools we have is obviously the benchmarking. So we use a greenkeeper app, which is an online platform which we'll monitor green speeds with. We'll measure firmness, moisture levels. And from there, we can also record organic matter, which will give us a rough prediction of where we might expect to be in a certain period of time. We can then compare that to soil analysis and leaf tissue analysis. So we'll typically do a fully comprehensive package with European turfgrass or European turf laboratories every sort of once to twice a year. And then we'll do a organic matter sampling maybe every 6 months, once in the winter, once in the summertime, and also leaf tissue testing quarterly through the year to really assess where we are from a turf health point of view, and then compare that to, say, the moisture levels we're getting or the readings elsewhere that we're getting. From there, we have some very invested stakeholders. So we have, one of the owners is a keen golfer. We have a very supportive director of golf in Joel Westwell, who, again, will have open conversations and discussions and, find the balance between the two.
So they understand what you're getting across to them, and you don't have to really put it into layman's terms. It's not like you're dealing with a Greens committee who have all got a lawn at home and think the job's simple, yeah?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, we're very fortunate that our board doesn't change. We've had the same two brothers who've had the course from day one. We've had Chris Andrews, who's our again, he's on the board with the two brothers, Stuart and Daniel, and Chris built the course from day one as well. So there's an investment and there's a consistency here, which I think is very refreshing. And it just allows us to be able to be very strategic in where we're looking, but also, there's that backup and that trust, which does give us a lot of confidence moving forward.
You come up through the ranks, so you're indoctrinated, if you like, into the Grove way of thinking. Is there anything that you've bought from elsewhere that you've seen on your travels that have kind of impacted on that Grove way of doing things?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've worked with previous head greenkeepers. The transition from Phil Shiverton about 2 or 3 years ago to Will Evans in 2023 brought in new ideas. And also, I've been fortunate to go to Phoenix on a couple of occasions sort of since 2020, which has allowed me to see other properties in the True network and network with other greenkeepers from across the world. And from that, you really do create, your own identity. Since COVID at the Grove, I think we've had to adapt our work style a lot in terms of the revenue that came from pay and play golf in 2020. We were probably one of the biggest. It didn't feel like it at the time because of the amount that success stories of having a pay and play style, in that we were really benefiting from golf numbers. But with that came challenges about how we maintain the course and how we evolve and how we think differently. And from that, working with my team to try and be more flexible in our working hours, thinking about how we can better use our hours that we have to, maybe work slightly more in the summertime and then have more time off in the wintertime. or adjust our working hours, not just think that every day is an 8-hour working day. Do we think about having slightly longer days, 2 to 3 days a week, and then shorter days on the other periods? So I mean, there's some things that we've thought about and adapted. And it's also making sure that we give back to the golf course, because you can't take from it every single day of the year. It's allowing renovation windows to come into play and thinking about when we can shut the tee sheet in the afternoons or in the mornings to allow us to complete some maintenance. So that'd be the biggest changes, I guess, we've had to think about over the years.
So that obviously must mean really good communication with the people that are driving the revenue through the doors. That can't always be an easy conversation.
No, because at the end of the day, the sales guys are there to sell. And if I had, I'm sure if I could, I would have no golfers over the course, because it just keeps everything perfect. But that's not the reality. And end of the day, we're presenting something to sell to guests and clients. And if we didn't do that, what would be the point of having the golf course in the first place? So yeah, it's being really open with each other. It's that understanding of, again, we've built a good relationship with the sales team. Likewise, they have with us, and it's having, we attend the BEO meetings every week to make sure that we know every single corporate or pay and play group that's going through, if there's any specific requirements, because being a non-membership style, anyone who comes here as a corporate group has the ability to modify to a certain degree, whether that be putting a DJ stand on the 11th hole, or wanting greens to run at a certain green speed, or locations of tee markers. So yeah, having that ability to discuss, especially during the summertime where we're putting through anything to 1,000 rounds plus a week.
Okay.
It's really important that we have that communication and openness. And this year, for example, we've agreed set times of the year or the month where we're going to maybe shut the tee sheet for a morning to allow us to complete a divot on fairways, or top dress at more convenient times, then it's not being noted by the first few groups that play, whilst not affecting revenue at the same time, which is surprising what you can achieve when you just sort of discuss it.
When you're looking at developing your skills and your knowledge and the latest developments and what's going on in the industry, where is it you look?
I mean, again, I'm very fortunate that I built up a network of sort of colleagues over the years. Some of them previous ex-Grove employees, others from the Troon network, and others just from meeting and greeting. And I think just being able to have honest discussions with people in the industry is probably the best thing you can do, because whatever you're doing, somebody else is probably doing it better elsewhere. It's not having too much pride to discuss those things and just try and keep it all internally. It's being open. I've been very fortunate to have completed the H&C H&D route with Elmwood College, which I'm a very big advocate for. I felt like it gave me a brilliant sort of step hold into the industry. And then from there, there's invaluable, further education that you can do. Discussing options like FTMI, or the delegation tools. They all seem like very sort of valuable tools.
When you look at the challenges that you have at the Grove, is there one constant challenge, and has there been anything that has changed over the years that you've been there? I'm particularly thinking about perhaps new diseases coming in that we've not seen before because of the change in the climate, perhaps.
I mean, it's the biggest thing for us is, I think it's a twofold thing. I think some people seem to think of the Grove as this haven where it's always green all year round, and it's always dry all year round, which it isn't. We're a parkland golf course in England. We aren't perfect. Water isn't an infinite tool for us. So I mean, for me, it seems like there's only two seasons now. You have the wet season and the dry season. There doesn't seem to be an autumn. There doesn't seem to be a spring anymore. So for us, I guess the challenge we faced is keeping fairways cut up to twice a week, right the way through to December now, because there doesn't seem to be a cold snap before end of December anymore. You might not see a substantial frost until January nowadays. And then it might not then turn warm again until I think May the last 2 years. We were looking April, May before we got some substantial growth. And it's that understanding that it's no longer a Fusarian stress period from October through till November anymore. It seems to be 12 months a year. So being more thoughtful, and obviously last thing you can do is apply fungicide every month just because it's disease season. So it's thinking ahead about what the stress factors, what we're doing to contribute to those stress factors, and just be a better greenkeeper all around, thinking about what the plant actually needs. And if we're doing a practice, what are the benefits? If I'm going out rolling greens today, is that just because it's going to benefit today's play, or is there a greater economic benefit? Is there damage that's being caused to that? Just thinking a bit more strategically rather than in the moment all the time.
And data is obviously a key part of that. We touched on that earlier. You also touched on just there, you don't have infinite water. What is your setup around the supply of water, and how are you managing it?
So we do have a borehole, which at the moment is an affordable route for us. However, we will be looking at reservoir options in the future. Thinking about how we can become a more sustainable outfit. The owners have a great investment in, being a sustainable property. Looking at ways that we can be, I guess, more self-sufficient as much as we possibly can be. So whether that's looking at more solar power options, or having a reservoir that allows us to take a percentage of pressure off of that borehole in the future. We sort of are upgraded. Well, we are upgrading our irrigation system in 2 years, primarily because we want to be more efficient, and we're moving to a lot of hard line edges on our irrigation system as opposed to 360s that are watering parts of the native or cart paths. So it will mean increasing the irrigation heads, but at the same time, it will be much more targeted. With that, we're going to hopefully have one of the first systems to have spatial adjust, which, again, will be a great advancement. Using things like turfrad, with the hope of, again, that significantly reducing our water usage. So it's a big deal for us. And just because you have the ability to water doesn't mean you should. I think that's something that, we really care for.
Well, turfrad looks really interesting. That obviously ties in with the Toro irrigation side of stuff. Is that something that you've kind of committed to, or is it just something that you think is really interesting?
So at the moment, it's part of our deal with Toro, which, is something that we were keen on in the first place. But like with anything, we need to actually see what the benefits are on a smaller scale before we then ramp up to a larger scale. It's a dangerous thing to just jump on the first piece of technology that jumps onto the market. But I would say that turfrad has been around for a number of years now. It's not just come up in the last 12 months. So we're gonna play with it to begin with, see how we like it.
Okay. So trial it on a small area, yeah.
That's it. So at the moment we're looking at 1 unit for a fairway mower this coming year. With the idea being that the fairway mower will, scan fairways at least once or twice a week, and then from there we can then see what that data is giving us. Does that give us the ability to cut back our watering on those fairways by 20% or more?
Or target it.
Yeah.
Which, I think that's the fascinating thing for me on that one, that, how accurate you can become. And, knowledge is power, isn't it? And if that can cut back your water usage, you're kind of fulfilling, making a big difference. Because if you're cutting back by 20%, that's a real big pressure off your borehole and your reservoir or whatever else you're doing, and helps you keep the course in that 5-star condition that you're under pressure to do. And I mentioned pressure there intentionally, Sam, because, it's a money business, yeah? You don't have a membership, but you have a board of directors and you have owners. But you also have people paying green fees that are coming in expecting that experience. In terms of, you say you don't get much feedback from them, but do you see stuff on social media when they're saying good or sometimes perhaps not so good things?
I think it's important to be aware of it. I think if you were looking on the internet every single night or waiting for the daily report to come back and on tenterhooks, I think it would send me mad. So a lot of it comes to confidence in yourself, I think, as well. We've been in the industry long enough to know what a good golf course is and what a bad course is, and I think so long as we can go away from the end of the day being proud of where we are and, having hit our targets of green speeds and firmness and knowing that the surfaces are as best they can be, I think beyond that, I don't think I'd have a life outside it. I'd probably be divorced very quickly if beyond that I was stressing too much. But it obviously matters to be able to see or hear from other people how the course is played. We were sort of very fortunate to have the MJ Abbott's Golf Day back in the spring of 25. And it was a really rewarding thing for me and the team to hear of, local experts in the industry who played and enjoyed the course. We'll always enjoy that. But I think there's certainly a line you have to face between just accepting what you've produced was the best you could have on the day. And beyond that, any more chase of perfection is probably, there's a reason why it wasn't achievable on that day. And, pondering on it too much is only going to hurt you.
Is there a moment that you can think of where perhaps it dawned on you, this is the career for me? Not necessarily that precise second, but a period of, time in your career.
I think it was probably after about 5 months, and I think I was driving into work thinking I actually prefer being at work than I do at home.
Were you married by then?
No, I was single.
That's all right. You're safe with that answer then.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I've always considered work more as a part of my identity rather than just a Monday to Friday job. I'd never consider myself a 40-hour-a-week person. I think that kind of drove me to have something that I could be proud of. And greenkeeping at the time, again, because I had, I guess, experience in machinery from a young age, it just fitted straight away from day one. And then from that, my appreciation for golf grew after a couple of years. And I think by 2016, I was in a supervisor role and starting to realize, well, hang on a minute, there is actually a career to be made out of this. And I've loved it ever since. If I was single now, what would I be doing? I'd probably love to be sat on a digger doing shaping work and renovating every day. That's the sort of thing that really drives me, project work, renovations. But at the same time, I wasn't a natural manager, I guess, from day one. It was something that I kind of went into because I thought I had to get to the next step. But over the years, I think you really appreciate just the ability to work with people, to see people develop over the time, to see people that started off with you as an apprentice and now see them moving into internal jobs. So we have Jack in the workshop who's just taken that off over in recent months. We have Andy, my deputy, who's moved up to a deputy role. Ben in irrigation, again, that's an internal promotion, and Adam in spraying. So we've seen this really nice progression and story, which for me, I feel very proud that I've helped facilitate that.
With your progression into a management role, what have you done to help you make that transition from one of the guys to, hang on, you're the man who, carries the can, and also maybe has to have those conversations that might be difficult with people that you've worked alongside before? How have you done that? And has there been much support for you in terms of formal training, etc.?
It's probably the hardest thing you have to do, which is probably why I can understand a lot of people move jobs in order to get that respect. It's a lot easier to manage people that you don't know, having worked with them at the same level. I guess currently, there's no one here that started at the same time I was in anything less than a supervisor role, which definitely helps. But at the same time, you have to separate yourself to a degree. There's a balance between being one of the team and having a joke, but at the end of the day, there's standards that you have to set and expectations that have to be set down. And I'd like to think of myself as somebody who leads by example. I wouldn't ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And with that comes that, or what I hope comes with respect and mutual understanding that they see that I'm driving for them, and at the same time they're going to give back. If I'm asking them to work a 12-hour day and I'm not working at 12-hour day also, then don't really have a leg to stand on. So
no.
Yeah,
if you're calling in the instructions from the pub, it wouldn't go down too well, would it?
No, that's it. No. And also, I'd never consider myself somebody who'd shout at somebody, unless there was something that really happened wrong. Mistakes happen, and providing there's some accountability and some ownership of that, and there's a learning process from the mistake. wouldn't really. I can't think of a moment really where I would have said I've lost my temper with somebody necessarily. It's just, I guess, not my personality, which hopefully then drives respect mutually because the guys are seeing that and know that they can come to me with problems.
So that style philosophy, has that come from your own internal standards, or has there been external influences, mentors or training that have contributed to that?
I mean, it's a mixture of things. I mean, you're always going to see things or have done things yourself that you're going to learn from. I think if you look back and say you haven't, then I think you've still got a lot to learn. I mean, I would consider myself a bit more of a, not laid back, but more of a level-headed person. I definitely think before I act. Yeah, I think there'll always be occasions where you've maybe done something and you look back and go, well, was that the best way to have behaved in that situation? And I'd like to think that I'm somebody who would hold my hands up and say, you know what, I was in the wrong there. Going to apologise to the person maybe that I've wronged, or learn from it and show an effort to move forwards. But also at the same time, been very fortunate with the Grove. They have great internal training, educational courses, and I have just completed the Troon Leaders Program as well, which is a year program held by Troon, which kind of enables you to take the next step into a leadership role, whether that be a director of golf or a general manager. And it helps sort of teach you emotional intelligence. It will help you understand your leadership styles, how to have crucial conversations, how to think differently and out of the box.
Crucial rather than difficult. I kind of like that. That's a good term, a good terminology. So you've completed that. What do you see as your kind of future pathway for your career? What do you want to do over the next 5-10 years, say?
Well, I'd like to think of myself as fairly open. I wouldn't want to get tied down into one area. Agronomy has always been a fascination for me. And if in the future that agronomy, sort of advisory side took me into farming or agriculture again, I wouldn't be against that. But at the same time, I love managing turf. I think it would always be golf for me. I'm not sure I'd see myself on the other side of the fence in football, hockey, whatever it might be. I am happy in golf. And you never know. We're still have no kids, so whether abroad might be an option in the future. I think it's good to be open to those decisions and choices and think about where that leads you.
So do you ever see yourself going back to the family farm, and or is that one for retirement?
I mean, yeah, I love Devon, love down there. I think for the time being, I'm really happy in my role here. I think there's some amazing golf courses in the area that I could see myself working at in the future. Or you never know, abroad might be an option. But I think further down the line, I'd love to move back down there. But it's a great holiday home at the moment to see the family and I guess not be too involved in the day-to-day problems down there.
Well, maybe you should combine farming and turf and just bite the bullet and do a turf farm.
Maybe, yeah.
Probably didn't have the challenge that you'd want for that, would it? When you look back at your time at the Grove, what are your proudest achievements?
I mean, it would always be project work for me and its achievements. I think the biggest thing for me was in 2022 when our old course manager Phil left, which was at the time quite sudden. And there was a period of 7 months where I was, to a degree solo, managing the course and making decisions. And it was not a sink or swim because there was support, but it was definitely a drop in the ocean, height of disease pressure, and off you go. So I was really proud that I could look after the course in that period. And also I then sort of helped Will with the integration into the role, and it was something that I felt really proud of at the time. Project work will always be, I guess, my proudest achievement. Seeing things that have gone into the course, whether that be the bunker project of 2020 or drainage works that we complete over the years. The renovation processes, I'd say we probably have one of the hardest renovation processes in the country and what we do. It is very much a go hard for 4 days, and you don't stop till it's done. And I think looking back at those events and seeing what we as a team achieve and the development of the team through those days, I think is the ones that really sort of make me feel proud of what we're achieving, and we're going in the right direction.
We touched briefly on your team and some of the kit you've got, but let's talk about the size and shape of your team and how that's pulling together.
So we have a team of 18 full time at the moment, with the sort of supplement of 2 fixed term workers from April to October. It's a very healthy number for an 18-hole course, and we're very fortunate. Within that, we kind of made the decision about 4 or 5 years ago to only employ apprentices, which was something that was a big decision at the time, but we just felt we were struggling to get uptake of greenkeepers, but also keep hold of them without them moving down the road for an extra bit of money, or just because for an easier lifestyle. So we really invested in apprentices. We were very fortunate we had a mixed age range apply, so we've got a few guys sort of in their late 20s, a couple of guys just coming out of school, and a few in between. And that was a great sort of addition for us because we could train them up from the ground. It was a difficult first year or two. A few of them were thrown in at the deep end, but we've come out of it stronger. And we're also very fortunate to benefit from getting 3 guys over from, 2 from the African Turf Academy, so 2 from South Africa and 1 from Kenya.
Oh wow! Okay.
That was just at the point we could do that before the visa rules changed.
Okay.
Which it's very unfortunate, because I think it's not just the work that those 3 guys bring, but it's also the background and the culture they bring in. We're very proud of what those guys bring. They just bring a different environment, different ethic on life. They work incredibly hard for us for the majority of the sort of the summer period and the autumn, and then as a result they get excess hours they can then take and go home in the winter time. So it's worked amazingly for us to have those guys.
Do you have a high attrition rate on apprentices, or do you manage to keep the majority of them?
So in the 3 or 4 years since we have gone down that route, out of a team of 18, we've had 2 leavers.
Oh well, that's impressive.
Yeah, we're very proud of that. I think it shows that not only are we progressing internally, but guys are happy. Guys and girls are happy here. We're very fortunate to have the benefits that the Grove provide with that. So we get 3 meals on site, and there's various other benefits as well. So they do look after the team. But no, we're pleased because we're developing a new crop of people that can develop, and we're then perfectly honest with them when they get to a certain point in their career here, and there isn't progression for them to move up. We're having those open conversations and saying, look, we'll help you find the next course.
Okay.
I've got one of our teams currently out in Australia at the moment on a 6-month internship through Troon, which we decided with him, you've kind of hit a point now. You're probably going to be quite stagnant this winter, and he really wanted to go abroad and do something different. So we're very proud of what we've done with the team, and as such what they're giving back to us as well.
The benefits, the working atmosphere, the rewards, they're one part of it, but the interview process and the selection process has got to be a huge part of it as well. What are you looking for when you're judging whether somebody's got what it takes?
It's always got to be character over ability. You can train skill, but you can't train attitude. That's a very common thing now. Like any other club or most other clubs, we have a 3-month probation, so we can be brutally, not brutally, but we can be perfectly honest with them. It's a 2-way street. They might find actually after 3 or 4 weeks it's not what I expected, but likewise, we can make sure that they're the right fit for us before they're fully integrated into the team. But it's a big investment if you spend 2 to 3 interviews over a month, wait the month for them to do their notice period, come to you, train them, and then leave straight away. That's a lot of resource loss. So we'd like to think we're very careful with who we're bringing in, and making sure that they are the right fit for the team.
So they're also getting the benefit of coming into one of the top golf venues in the country, if not the world. So that if they're serious about it, that's got to be a big attraction for them.
Yeah, that's it. It's a common theme as well now that it's very likely the apprentices coming in aren't going to be hardcore golfers. You know, it would usually be that 80% of your team were weekly golfers or members elsewhere, but you know, probably a quarter of my team currently is, and I think that's quite a common theme in the industry. So I think it's important to get the motivation out of your team in other ways. You know,
Yeah.
I know half of my team won't consider picking up a golf club, but they still need to understand from a golfer's point of view how the course will play, what's important to them. Then also what's going to motivate my team is that environmental compliance, is it sustainability, is it a few of them are really interested in hard landscaping. So, you know, do I give them those projects that I'd usually contract out? It's finding those skills that, you know, just enable them to feel like they're getting more for the, you know, for rewarding for what they're doing day to day.
I guess a bit of that comes from your kind of attitude that you're doing something you love, and there's bits of it that you love that make you go, this is a job for me. Are you trying to help them find that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're not afraid to create positions if it benefits the business and the employee. You know, we obviously won't create positions just for the sake of it, but you know, we aren't just a golf course here. We're an estate. We're a 220 room hotel. Yeah, we have endless amounts of other areas. So the more that we can do internally and not externally contract out, the better. And you know, if we've got people internally that have those skills, then you know, we're going to use them.
The shape of your team, then, you say that there's 18 of them plus a couple of others, so you've got a good sized team for the setup there. What sort of roles have you got them in? How many kind of deputies have you got, and what's the management structure?
Yeah, sure. So you have Will Evans, who is Director of Agronomy, but also the hotel facilities as well. So Will manages essentially everything that's outside of the hotel, but also maintenance inside. I run the golf course. And then across from me, you have a head gardener, Natasha, who has her own team that will look after the gardens and estates. Under me, you have one deputy, head greenkeeper. And then from there, we have three seniors, which additionally we have Ben in an irrigation technician role and Adam in the spray technician role. And then below that, you have qualified greenkeepers, which is kind of our skilled level, level 2 qualifieds. And then your apprenticeships sort of at the grassroots.
And what toys have they got to play with in the shed, Sam? I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to know.
Yeah, very healthy fleet. We are, say, exclusively Toro, so we have hand mowers, so the 1021 flex hand mowers, which are the petrols. We don't quite believe the electric hand mowers are there yet in terms of lifespan. We have the 1026 tees mowers, so we hand mow tees and greens as much as we possibly can. We'll only triple a green if we feel like we're going to gain a roll or some other means of operation out of it. So whether on a weekend, if we triple, we can roll greens and cut approaches.
Okay.
We have 3 triple mowers, so we have 2 of the hybrid petrols, 3420s, and then we've just invested in the electronic alternative as well. So we have an electronic triplex. Again, a bit of a dip our toe in rather than go full electric, because we're not fully convinced at the moment that.
How long you had that?
It was this year, first acquisition.
Okay. What's the view so far?
At the moment, great. You know, it's purely going to be a mowing operation. You can't put a verticaster on it. You can't put any form of other head on there because it would drain the battery too much. But yeah, we don't have noise pollution issues as such, but it's that ability to get out, and you know, if that becomes our triple greens mower, then I'll have a lot more confidence in that being the greens unit compared to the hybrids.
Okay. So your concerns, or not concerns, but your question marks, should I say, are not around the quality of the cut. Is it the robustness and the life of the machine?
At the moment, it's the battery life to do with the hand mowers. Yeah, I think it's just one thing that Toro are working on at the moment to get a slightly longer lifespan out of the batteries. And then it's also arguably what is your overall profitability of that. You know, if we're rotating our machinery every 5 years plus, are we getting value for the difference between what a hybrid mower would cost versus an electric? Are we getting the electric cost back at the moment? Which is, I think, an important question to ask ourselves.
So, what else is in that magical shed of yours, Sam?
So we have three hybrid fairway mowers. So they're the 5010Hs, so the 5-inch cylinder units. We have two multi-pro sprayers. We've just recently invested in the GeoLink system, which I think at the moment I'm amazed with. I think it's probably the best GPS technology on the market in terms of what it's providing. And then aside from that, we have a workman top dresser, and then club car is kind of our choice of machinery fleet. A nice variety of tractors and implements as well, which we're very selective in terms of what we get and careful to make sure that we're implementing the right things into the agronomy plan. And we'd say we're very fortunate that Jack, our mechanic, is on hand to be able to grind on site with his Foley grinders. Quite height of cut and quality cut is checked every time. Yeah, really great addition to the team.
So out of all that kit, has any of those been a complete game changer for you?
I mean, it's always valuable to have the Pro Cores on site. They're probably our most used tools. We're out every other week through the growing season with them, needle tining greens. The GPS technology on the GeoLink, I think, has been a great addition for us. But I mean, it's kind of the combination of all, I think. We don't go big and fancy. They're just each mower does its own individual job, and it does it to the best it can. And likewise, with the team.
So what's the next project on the horizon? Are you able to tell us?
The big one will be the irrigation projects in 2028.
Okay.
That's sort of the big one coming up. Outside of that, we have the Kingdom that's currently under construction at the moment, which is the range building. So with that, we also have a hitting studios within, and then a new chipping green, which is being established at the moment. So both are due to be open this May, I believe. So going into there, I think looking at our standards, the range, I think, is always, in most places guilty of being the afterthought or the one where you just can't get onto it. So it'll be quite an exciting thing for us to, look at how we can manage that and have it as just as a kind of beacon of expertise and quality as what the golf course holds 1 to 18 show.
Sam, after your achievements, you'd expect me now to ask, have there been any failures or mishaps along the way that you'd be happy to share with us?
I'm sure there's
From your grin, I can see there might be a few. Or should we ask Phil?
You don't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs, that's for sure.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I've certainly had them over the years. I mean, I guess most catastrophic one would have been in 2015. What was I doing? We were holocoring fairways, and I was picking up the core debris after it had been pulverized. That's probably, I think, day 2 or 3, so we were all a bit tired. Had a tractor and trilo vac operating on a hill, and just switched off. Forgot, the trilo vac was full, and reversed back a little bit, and trilo vac went over, and we had to spend an hour or two. Luckily, the tractor it was on an adjustable linkage arm, so the tractor was just stationary, but the trilo vac went over. So we spent the afternoon picking up cores by hand into there, and fortunately, it was through renovations, and no issues at all. But that was
nobody was harmed.
No, that's it. That is it.
In terms of the industry as a whole, what do you think are the real opportunities? Obviously, we're seeing more data, we're seeing more automation and robotics coming in. Do you see them as enhancing? Are they opportunities, or are there other things that we should be doing to improve the industry?
I think there's a danger, because I think it's amazing some of the advances we're making with technology and AI and everything that goes with it. But I think there's also a danger that we're making machinery and tools too expensive for the majority of clubs or facilities. I mean, you look at the cost of fairway mowers, you look at the cost of any machinery is going up and up each year, and at some point majority of the clubs won't be able to afford a new machine anymore. So I think it's important while we're making these amazing strides forward, I think we also need to be looking at, budgetary options as well for the clubs that need those. Because otherwise you just won't be able to afford a new mower anymore. I think it's great with the water. Obviously, Golf Course 2030. I'm an RNA scholar, and was very fortunate to hear about the Golf Course 2030 from the RNA when it first came out, which I think is crucially important. We're approaching 2030 now, so we need to be looking as an industry about where do we actually stand compared to where we thought we were going to stand. Sand is becoming a bigger problem. At what point will sand stop being available for us on a wide scale? It's a challenge, and there are some really exciting things. But I think at the end of the day, what will make greenkeepers' life easier is the expectation from golfers is adjusted, because it's not easy for a club that's having to choose between opening and closing this time of year, or whether they stay on temporary greens or not, or having worm problems from October through till April now. It's just the seasons are changing so much that we need to maybe sort of be reminding golfers that you are not going to have Augusta conditions every single day of the year. That's just not possible anymore. And what we're going to do to help facilitate that, not just for our own clubs, but for everyone's clubs in the area.
Is there one thing that you think is a misunderstanding of the job that you and your team are doing from the public that you'd like to change?
Environmentally, I think is a big one. Obviously, you see a lot in the news about golf courses should be taken away to build housing. It's a wasted land space. I think it's really important to remember the environmental and the ecological habitats that golf courses create for wildlife and nesting populations. It's a very rewarding feeling when you're out there in the morning and you're hearing birds in the distance. You're seeing muntjac across the golf course. You're seeing various species that you wouldn't otherwise see. And I think it's really important that we engage with the public to highlight these things. We've made a real concerted effort into having wildflowers across the golf course to increase our bee populations, creating wildlife corridors. So it's taken away that viewpoint that it's wasted space and it's only there for manufactured purposes. And also it's the CO2 that golf courses capture as well. Again, I think it's a forgotten aspect of what that grass and also the surrounding vegetation is doing to help capture CO2 as well.
Just to sum up then, what do you think the future's looking like for greenkeeping and golf in the UK?
We might need some flippers, I guess, in about 10 years' time to play golf.
There's a new sport,
water golf. I think so.
Yeah. Most of my golf was water golf, but we won't go into that. So.
I mean, I think if anything, you look at COVID and it's proof that golf evolves. I'm sure you've heard of it a lot of the time over the sort of the last few years, Martin. Golf's a dying sport, or it's going to die out with a generation, and that'll be that. But I think the last few years have gone by to show that it will evolve and improve, and there will always be a new crop. And I think it's important for us as greenkeepers and industry experts to evolve with that, and not just look at the old, but what do the new generation of golfers want? We were, I think, the first club in Europe to put Bluetooth speakers in our buggies because it was recognised that's what our guests wanted. Working hours, we need to think as managers, what does the new generation of employees want in the future? Is a Monday to Friday what they actually want? Do they want 8-hour working days? It's thinking outside the box, I guess. And I think there's always bleak stories or question marks of is there a recruitment crisis in greenkeeping and various other things. But I think there's enough people in the industry that will have answers and are willing to go the extra mile to solve them. And I think there's some encouraging things coming out.
Sam, it's been a fascinating time speaking to you, and thank you for taking a chunk out of your day at what is a crucial time for you coming into renovations and plans, and the weather's not too great at the moment in terms of rain, etc. So we do thank you for that, and we hope to catch up with you, in the not too distant future. Thanks again.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate the time.